Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number 5300-035-600. This is a 3.5-inch half-surface, standard weight, plain bearing, prime-coated steel base hinge. This is a relatively uncommon hinge, being both half-surface and 3.5-inch. It's going to be pretty atypical. Half surface, not so uncommon, but you'll see that in a 4 or more commonly a 4.5-inch hinge. Now, the application that the client requires in this case is they have a steel frame that's been made for an 1 3/8 door, is the bottom line. They need to have a half surface hinge because the hinge plate in the frame, in the door, has failed. And rather than buy a new and very expensive 1 3/8 metal door, they'll be able to prolong the use of that door by using a half surface hinge. So the term half surface, the descripting word in that phrase, half surface, always applies to the door. So half surface means that the leaf that is surface mounted applies to the door. If it was a half mortise, it would be the leaf that is mortised would be mortised to the door, and inherently the other leaf would be the surface leaf. So in a half surface hinge, you'll get one leaf surface mounted to the door and one leaf mortised typically. So the application of this hinge that you're seeing, it's a bit, odd obviously to try to conceptualize here, but we'll do as best we can. So, trying to visualize this, you would be standing on the pull side of the door if it was a left-hand reverse, and the door would swing out toward you. The door would sit into here and swing out toward you. Okay, this leaf would be installed into the mortise in a frame over here, and your door occupies the space here. You can certainly turn this over. You could certainly remove that pin and remove the button cap and reverse it all should you want to. This is a removable pin hinge. There's no safety, non-removable sort of feature to it. Okay. The leaf that is mortised to the frame is countersunk for the screws. The leaf that is surface mounted to the door is also countersunk. Going to get screws for all of that. You will get all wood screws and all metal screws. Okay. Available in several different finishes, all the architectural finishes that you can do on on steel. Black, bright black Japan is also very common. Your brasses, bronze, chromes, things of that nature. Obviously 4-inch, 4.5-inch, far more common. But if you've got an 1 3/8 door, and especially, well, if it's an 1 3/8 door, this leaf emulates a 3.5-inch hinge, so an 1 3/8 door really calls out for a half-surface hinge like this. And the application by which people will use these will be for what I said earlier. You want to continue to get useful service out of a door that the hinge preparation may have failed, or you have a condition by which you're replacing the door, but the door that you've been able to come up with does not match the hinge locations in the existing frame. Therefore, you would use a half-surface hinge. And that logic applies very much to the same half-surface hinge in a 4.5-inch size, like a steel door replacement, but you're not replacing the steel frame. And you can get a door, but the hinge locations don't match up. Half-surface hinges might be able to solve that problem for you. Okay, now, let's go over the description of this. This is, because it's plain bearing, 3.5-inch size, it's for medium weight, low frequency doors, normally used on composite core doors with hollow metal frames. And they say that composite meaning a solid core wood door, or a wood door with some sort of core, because the 1 3/8 thick metal doors are relatively uncommon. It's a steel hinge. Let's dissect the part number before we get to the steel hinge part. 5300 means it's half surface. That's number one. It's a 5300, that means it's half surface, and it's steel based. 035 is a reference to the height. The hinge, this is a 3.5 inch hinge. The 600 means prime coat, but it also means steel based. Okay. These screw holes are considered template, very typical and common. We went over the screws before earlier. There is a link below this video to the template, and that document is very handy because it shows everything important dimensionally about the hinge, number one. It shows an overview of where the door is located. Not exactly, but you get the concept of where it's located there. The table that is in the center lower third of the page gives you a 5300 and a BB 5300 in that steel column. You can get the 5300 with ball bearings, that's BB. If you change the last number in the part number to a 1, that means it's going to be a brass or a bronze base material. If you change it to a 2, it'll be stainless steel. Okay, very typical. Options on this, several. Bommer can do custom tips on these, decorative tips. This is a button tip. If you use your imagination, that looks like the button on a coat. They can do ball tip, the most common decorative tip, urn tip, steeple tip, acorn tip, the non-removable pin as we discussed earlier, other variations on security, but in a half-surface hinge, non-removable pin is really the only one that you're going to deal with. Radiused corner, should you need that on the leaf that is going to be mortised to the frame, that's possible as well. This can be mixed and matched with a 3.5 inch commercial grade hinge, meaning if you have a door that has failed, you can install this at the point of failure and then leave your other hinges in place, because that vertical axis of pivoting is compatible with a 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch commercial grade hinge. Okay, a lot to consider with this hinge for sure. Last thing I'd like to point out to you is the Bommer logo, and right above it it says Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. If you have any questions on the Bommer 5300-035-600 half surface 3.5 inch prime coat hinge or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.